Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham of goodforthegame.co.za, Thursday night, 9 o'clock. It's time, of course, for the handicap rugby chat that matters. We've got some quality international rugby to talk about this weekend. And to get started, let's introduce the panel. I'm going to start to the top of my screen there. He's calling his name today is Orange Card question mark. Now, Gavin, you've come in with a few names over the last few weeks of ladies cricketers, and I've known exactly what you've been talking about. I'm not going to lie here. I'm a bit stumped with Orange Card.
So, how's it, everybody? So they send off Loert de Jager on Saturday, and I'm stunned when I find out they're not sending somebody back on. Then I watched a few, shows this week on recaps, reviews, whatever you want to call them, and I think that the 20-minute red card is the best decision they ever made, and now they're trying to go back to something. I don't know. I mean, even if it was attempted murder, just take the oak off, and he doesn't come back on and bring somebody back. Why would you decide that the level of the offence on the field justifies whether the team doesn't bring somebody back on? I mean, do whatever you like with a player. I mean, we've had this discussion before. We've got a yellow card. I don't know what this is, but he's going to the bunker and somebody's going to try and figure out in 10 minutes what he's done. And then they're going to decide whether he gets a red card or a yellow card. But my gosh, why would you decide the crowd are getting a full game depending on the behavior of one player? I mean, I thought we crossed it. I thought we ticked that box and moved on. Now suddenly a referee's making it right or wrong. It's irrelevant. The red card, I don't disagree that it's a red card, but I'm like, why would you decide that somebody can come on and somebody can't come on? I mean, they might as well call the yellow, orange, the yellow, red, and orange card. Why don't they just pull out an orange card? I don't know. Whatever. I know. I don't know. Yellow, I don't know. Red, go. I don't know. So, yes, orange card question.
As Blake says, we go straight into the deep end here. I hear you there, Gab. We'll maybe discuss that towards the end of the show, perhaps a little bit further if you'd like to as well. I've got a few views on it, and not on that particular card itself, but yeah, I kind of feel, quick summary for me, I think it should go to the bunker, and maybe the bunker should be able to make the decision for a full red, but I don't think it should be put on the ref personally. But let's step away from rugby for just a few seconds to welcome the Moss Man back into the studio. He's had a break. He took a bit of maternity or paternity leave, should I say. And good news is I spoke to him now just as we're coming on in, and the sleep isn't going that badly. Mossman, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Yeah, it's not too bad. So some nights are better than others. I think last night was somewhere in the middle. So can't guarantee I won't talk a bunch of nonsense. But eagle-eyed viewers would have
company, mate. You're in good company.
Well, I was going to say, you got off to a good start because you had in your intro, you've got Italy versus South Africa and New Zealand versus Australia. So maybe it was you that didn't get the sleep last night.
Oh my word! Is that what's on the thing? It's actually my daughter. I did the thumbnail. I didn't check it. I'll have to. But I might have given her the wrong instruction. Quite possible. I can tell you the way my week's gone as well. And the Crow Tip says, imagine that Rod if the box lost Farid for the first time today in a long time. I saw a ref overall the TMO in the Samoa Namibia game. Very interesting. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often for Reed. Anyway, Nathan, I'm going to just quickly start talking about rugby with you now before we get on to the first game. Punting-wise, have you been laying low with the new arrival, or has it been a case of carrying on with the betting? And if so, how are things going?
No, it's been a bit of a break. I just sort of haven't had the bandwidth for it. So I kind of eased back into it last week. Had a couple of bets, had a couple of winners, which was a nice way to get back into it. It was one of those weekends where if I'd actually been more aggressive, I think it would have actually come up trumps probably across the board. But as it happened, you'd rather be in a situation where you kind of like had regrets about bets you didn't make rather than the ones that you did, right? So that's kind of how it went. So I was on New Zealand -7.5, so obviously that was an easy winner, and I was on Italy +10.5. Yeah. So they were quite contrasting bets, but as it turns out, like I really even though my numbers last week were much in line with the market on the South Africa game. I just didn't see South Africa losing, and I kind of kicked myself afterwards because I was like, I kind of felt like they were never going to lose that game. And then what was the other game? I'm trying to remember. Oh, and then Argentina Wales, and it was funny because I actually watched the show last week, and it was quite good. And I kind of got talked off Argentina a little bit, and I wish I hadn't, because I had Argentina as sort of a 11-point favourites. The market was at 8. I should have just backed on numbers and just gone with Argentina. So never mind.
We won't talk about that game too much. I see Oracle throwing his hands up. I know he was on Argentina. And Gavin, quickly with you. I mean, you were saying to me before the show, you left all your best work till the end of it. You were, and you ended up actually showing a loss on the weekend because your winners came right at the end, and I guess you didn't want to chase.
Yeah, so you asked me for my best bet, and I really thought about that last week, and I really liked New Zealand. So Mossman got 7.5. I took 11.5. I was very confident. I was at 17-0 at halftime. I'm thinking to myself, if the Scots get 2 tries back here, and they sort of 12 or 14, and New Zealand are winning by 3 or 4 with 20 minutes to go, New Zealand win this game by 15 plus. And they went to sleep. They had yellow card after yellow card after yellow card, stupid decisions. Yeah. I mean, New Zealand, I actually thought that the second half at Wellington was bad. I'm going to tell you that New Zealand's worst half of the year was last week's second half. That for me outranks the Wellington second half. I know that scoring and all of that was, a little bit different, and the opponents were different, but I feel that New Zealand were very poor in the second half here. They were in control of that game, whereas in Wellington they weren't in control of it. Here they had it, and where do you see 17-0 New Zealand and almost lose the game? And I got to say, if it wasn't for that, I think it was Damon McKenzie, I can't remember, the fullback guy, if he didn't do that funny move where he put the ball around his back and he scored, he doesn't even score. That tackle was so good. So, I remember listening to the stats, I was reading the stats, there'd been a couple of draws, like quite a lot of draws, New Zealand, Scotland. And at 17-all, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I should have just put $50 on the bloody draw. And I was happy that it wasn't a draw, because if it was a draw, I would have really been irritated. I lost my bet, but if it was a draw, I would have been really irritated. So, yeah, I lost on Australia. Australia caught me completely by surprise. I was telling Brad, who's one of our viewers every week, I've won on Italy having upsets. I won on them beating South Africa. I won on them beating France. That was my biggest one ever. And that was 12, 15 years ago when they beat France the first time. I normally call the Italian games at home quite well. So that one completely caught me by surprise. So, yeah, lost that game. But I had the biggest bet of the 4 was on New Zealand minus. And, of course, I got South Africa right. And Argentina, I'm sorry, was too easy. I should have made Argentina my best bet, but I didn't. And I didn't think like that. And I didn't even listen to myself. So I'm quite surprised Mossman didn't. It says he was outspoken. He was out-talked of it. I don't know how. I think you need to rewatch the show, because I'm quite adamant that Argentina are going to smash them here. Sorry, one more thing.
Perhaps he pays more attention to what Chris said on the show than you are. Yeah. I'm not going to put any words in his mouth. But let's move on to this week's games. We got Italy up against South Africa. Gav, I'll start with you here. This handicap did open around the 20.5 point mark and touched, I think, 21.5. It has come down on the back of team news, which probably shouldn't be that surprising, is that South Africa are fielding a much change side. You've got, of course, got the big game against Ireland last week, and South Africa known for their depth. So the market has come in, and the question is whether that is justified. And I know you're not a big points punter here. We've got 55.5. But what do you make of this handicap?
20.5 wasn't enough. You're telling me people have come punting Italy because of the win last week?
No. It's because of the teams. Like South Africa have put out like a pretty, I don't know if you'd call it a B team, but it's very mix and match.
It's definitely not an A team, but it's definitely not an A team.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah, I see Henrik saying over 17.5 Italy. I don't think Italy score, maybe they score over 17. I don't think they score over 20. I'm going to say South Africa win this game by 30 plus. I think this is race over. I don't care what team they put up. Russia's blooded 47 or 48 guys this year. They're gonna romp over this team, and if they're winning by 5 or 10 at the 20-minute mark, they win by more than 30. If they're winning by 25 at the 60-minute mark, they win this game by 50 plus. This can be very big. This can be very big. I'm a minus punter at this number. I'm a minus punter all day long. Yeah, they make quality pizzas, Henrik. That's about it.
I'm gonna come to you now, Mossman, on that. The general sentiment in the live chat is that Italy are potentially the better on the handicap. Henrik going Italy points. Farid is saying box discipline when the second team plays. And to bring you in here, you're spot on. The movement was due to the team. The question is whether the movement, I suppose, was justified, because let's face it, South Africa can put out one hell of a B team compared to most sides in the world. What do you make of this line? Did you grab the early plus? Are you still considering getting involved? What are your thoughts here?
No, I didn't, and the reason was that I made it 28, like when it was 22.
Okay.
So I was always on the South African side. So with the team changes, I think it should be about 23. So I'm seeing sort of 18.5. So 16.5 is actually particularly low.
Yeah. That's the bottom of the market.
Yeah, it really is. So at that number, I'd be pretty interested in South Africa. And I think Oracle sort of touched on it last week. If that's the movement in the market, you might wait. It probably won't move a huge number below that, but something close to 2 scores, I think that's probably pretty enticing in terms of that South African number. I did notice that there is a little bit of rain around, or weather around, for Rome. So I think you had 55.5. I'd definitely lean to the under there. And if in a funny way, if you're thinking South Africa are on the minus and the game to go under, then it's actually the opposite of the Italian points total plus that you had there before. It'd be under for that number. So I could 17.5 it does sound kind of low, but just depends how bad the weather is. If this game finished 30-15, I don't think that would come as a surprise to anybody. Yeah, so at the moment, I'm in a wait and see kind of mode, because I don't have anything against this Italian team. I thought, I made the game 3 last week, so I was surprised that they won, but not as surprised maybe as the rest of the market. So yeah, I'm going to wait and see if I can get a number lower than that on South Africa, then that's the way I'd go.
And just to point out, while you were talking, I quickly looked at PokerBet. So PokerBet are 18.5. I got my price from BetExchange, who are at the low end, the 16.5. So yeah, there's a bit of variation there. And just to Crow Tips, this is actually a bet, and obviously this line has but obviously gone now with the team news. But he took the plus 11 Italy halftime. That was also where I was heading, Crow. I did fancy the Italy, certainly to keep it tight in the first half. But I suppose that handicap now will be about 8.5 or 9.5 on Italy. Might still be worth a play there. And just keep an eye on the weather. I also got mixed reviews. I went to a couple of weather sites and got different views. So Farid also reckons the box center combo looks a bit shaky and newish. So interesting. I must say I'm very undecided on this. I normally love. I mean, I am enjoying the internationals, but I normally find I can't wait for the internationals, and I'm calling them nicely. And I'm battling a little bit. I got the unders last week in the South Africa game, but overall, just not calling them very well. So I'm not too confident. Precious saying Brex and Manicello, excellent centers, and that I can agree with 100%. So looks like the panel leaning towards potentially South Africa or no bet here, and a lot of the guys in the live chat leaning towards Italy. Right, let's move on to what, without doubt, is the game of the weekend, and Mossman will kick you off here. I just want to check this handicap as well. I've got England. Was it plus half? No, they're actually minus a half. That was my typo, so sorry about that. But England minus a half against New Zealand, very slight favourites. I've seen minus 1.5 in the week as well. Mossman, I was hoping for a plus on England here, but the bookies they weren't gonna they weren't gonna fall for that. We pretty much got a choice game. What do you think? I mean, England's going to be a tough game for the All Blacks.
Yeah, it will be a tough game. It's going to be a good game. I think if you wanted the plus, then you needed to be here in New Zealand earlier in the week when the TAB here opened up at England plus 4.5. And
okay, that's where I priced it.
Yeah, and then I think New Zealand are still maybe slight favourites here, but like there was a period where you could have got an arbitrage where I think both sides were paying sort of 205 depending on where in the world you lived. So there's definitely a bit of a split, and I think that the market has moved towards where the UK bookmakers have opened it. But I mean, we've talked about this in the past. There's a lot of money sloshing around in the pockets of England rugby fans, and so I think sometimes the market is often distorted towards that just based on where the money is coming from. And so I think the England prices are often a little bit inflated. So I think we've got Hendrick, New Zealand's the number one All Black hater, so that's no surprise there. So I think I'm what I'm really hoping for actually is that the money still keeps coming there, because I think and you might have to look for an alt line, but I think if you could get New Zealand plus 3.5 maybe on an alt line, I think that's a good bet, because I do think that this will be a close game. There's been some really close games over the last year. I think New Zealand won 3 games against England, one by 1 point, one by 2. The other one I think was by 7. They have been like traditionally close games over there, especially like in the last little while. So, but I think I could easily see England winning by 1 or 2, or maybe even a draw. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Sports Better on your forum coming up with a draw bet. That would not surprise me at all. So watch the space. But yeah, I think even if it was an alt line, maybe New Zealand plus 3.5, and I'd be quite happy. I'm quite happy with New Zealand, and I'm not like a home better necessarily. Like I'm willing to bet against the All Blacks. I think in the right spots. And I can see why there's enthusiasm for England with Ollie Lawrence back. But I think when they troubled New Zealand the most when they came on tour last year, it was with Marcus Smith at 10. And I know he's there on the bench, but I just think he offers a bit more. I think, the style that they'll probably play with Ford, I'm just not sure that will, that might play into the All Blacks' hands a little bit. So, I think it'll be a close game. If I can get plus kind of almost anything on the All Blacks, I would look that way.
Right, just going through some of the comments in the live chat. And most people, I think, expecting a close game here. The Crow Tip saying, Henrik, push that New Zealand into a plus for us. I'm sure Henrik will only take greater line in that. He's saying Scott Barrett, the biggest walking penalty in world rugby. Yeah, well, I must admit, when I priced this game plus 4.5, but I've got to say that I think deep down that's what I wanted the bookies to price up, because I was quite keen to pounce on an England plus, a bit like Mossman's kind of keen to pounce on a New Zealand plus. But I have to say, this looks about right. I am, though, leaning towards the English here. I do think that England have got a good side, and I think they're going to take the All Blacks here. But what are your views?
I'm on New Zealand here, but it's not my best bet of the weekend. I think they know how to win, and they'll win. I think last week was a scare. I'm just amazed I can get New Zealand at even money, or 9-10 to win the game. That's crazy. I expected a minus 4, 5, 6 here. So the fact that this is a level game for bookmakers, it's looking at them beating Australia, beating the handicap last week against Japan, I think, and also New Zealand, cutting it very close in Scotland. I like New Zealand here. Excuse me, 1-7 win. The problem with that is they win by 8, and you just get irritated. And I also think these markets are badly priced. If you get them right all the time, that's fine. But I think statistically, you don't get your money back here, because these are 120, 125% markets. You're better off on a handicap.
They're heavily juiced. Yeah. They over round on these markets as high, and most people don't actually notice because they don't.
I've taken this example of 1-7. There's a 1-12 market which Brent often talks about, but you're actually better off taking the team to win and taking the plus 13.5 or plus 12.5. And the if it lands in the middle, because you actually win more, and your price is better than if you took the 1 to 12 as a straight bet. But that's a story for another day. I like New Zealand here, Brent. It's not my best bet of the weekend, but I'm sorry. You're giving me 9 to 10, New Zealand. We can go back to the Terry Payne comment when South Africa.
I was going to say, I knew that was coming up. Coming up.
I'm gonna call it Terry Payne here. You're giving me 9 to 10 New Zealand to win a game? I'll take it any day. Thank you.
I just looking at that comment from Shahid as well, and I think there's a lot of truth to that comment. That I mean, 3 yellows is difficult for any international team to kind of overcome. And that they sort of managed to come away with the win despite that. There's a lot of randomness to yellow cards as well. I mean, people talk about. It kind of makes me laugh a little bit. You see a lot of pundits talk about like, oh, this team is ill-disciplined. I mean, the truth is that like if somebody throws the ball out in front of you, 99 times out of 100, a player sticks their hand out to try and catch it. It's just instinct. They're just trying. They don't think about it. It's not like nobody sees the ball coming and says like, I'm just going to stick my hands in my pockets and let it go past me. Like it's just not the way things work. So if you get caught out by that and you get a couple of yellow cards, then you get in a bad spot. I don't really see that as being discipline. It's just there's just a lot of randomness and a lot of luck involved in those things. So I think, if New Zealand doesn't get those cards and let's say they came away with a 20-point win, which would be the realm possibility without those cards. I don't think we're looking at a line here of England as a favourite. And you shouldn't change things that much from one performance. Is my view.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
What did your system pull out for this game? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said earlier, if you did say it.
I've got New Zealand by 6.
Yeah, okay. Sounds about right to me.
But just
I like the numbers, Moss Man. They're very mathematical. I'm very mathematical. I like it.
Well, the thing is as well is that like I benchmark these numbers as well against the Pinnacle closing line, and at least for this season, it's on par or better in terms of there's a couple of different metrics. So one is mean absolute error, which is basically saying how far away from the actual score are you, and then another which is it's called like an R2 number, which is like how good is your fit to describe the shape of the numbers. Like it's something you could go and look up, but like it's on a par with Pinnacle, but it'll beat the market at least this season sort of 62% of the time. So like I've got like a lot of faith in those numbers, even when they look a bit crazy. Like last week, Australia -3 versus the market at -10. Like a lot of those things have sort of proven to be right.
And Mossman, there's something you said struck me about the randomness of things like yellow cards. I can't remember the game, but it was either Australia against the Lions or Australia against the All Blacks. And there were 2 penalties in a row against Australia. And the commentators all agreed they were poor decisions by the ref. And then after the second one, the one commentator who had said they were poor decisions said Australia are paying the price for poor discipline. Yeah. And, that was like, on the one hand, you saying they were bad decisions, and now you're saying poor discipline. So just sort of took me back to that as well. And there's a lot of randomness about that. I have to agree on that. We'll get a couple of live chat comments. Just Crow Tips are saying, England completely overvalued again. New Zealand should be 3 points favourites in the markets. Let's see. Johan Esthuizen, let's go for a half-time draw. New Zealand full-time win for 25 times just for the hell of it.
I don't mind
that. Henrik says New Zealand overvalued on previous years when they used to be a good side. And I am a little bit. I'm with you in the England camp here, Henrik. I think the majority seem to be leaning towards New Zealand, but I am with you on that one. Let's move on to Wales. Oh, Gav, have we given you an opinion on that one? We haven't, have we? Oh, did I miss it? I mean, did I just blank? England. I missed it. Okay, good. So we're going on to the. You like New Zealand now? Remember now, right? Wales -12.5. Mossman, let's start with you here against Japan. I did read somewhere in the week that this is quite a crucial game as far as World Cup rankings go, in that the winner of this game will fill the 12th position, which means they sort of will be the second seeded team in the group, whereas the team below is just going to get thrown probably randomly. He's going to have 2 strong teams above them. So quite a bit on the line here. Wales, I'm going to jump in before Oracle absolutely hammers me on this one. I went for Wales on the board last week, a shocker of a bet. Fortunately, not too involved. But man for man, they don't look that bad. But geez, as a team, they look absolutely terrible. But then again, Japan are no great shakes. What are we going to do here, Moss man?
Yeah, so this is a horrible kind of game to try and handicap. At least it is for me. So one of the things I'll point out is that there is the stuff I model is what I call tier 1, and Japan is not in that. And the reason for that is that they don't play enough against these other teams to generate enough data for me to have actually good results. Because you've got Six Nations, the Rugby Championship, and you've got these autumn internationals. So the top 10 teams are playing each other a lot, and then you've got Japan just outside of that, and then some of the other teams who aren't playing each other or aren't playing that tier enough for me anyway to get enough good data. So all that aside, and it's I think I'd like to know if the roof is going to be closed, because I kind of quite fancy maybe overs and points here. I think Wales, they played into a sort of a shootout last week. I understand the roof was probably closed last week. Japan, I think in general, probably pretty high scoring, and not super defensively minded necessarily. So I think 52.5 could be kind of low if the roof's closed. In terms of the actual handicap, I mean, God knows, it's if it is a pressure game, I'm sure I fancy Wales in a game with pressure. And I do almost fancy Eddie Jones to kind of turn the screws a little bit. Like I think the thing about Eddie is that he probably doesn't care too much about individual results of games, in the sense that he probably has a plan that he's working towards for something, whether it's the World Cup or whatever, and that would be his focus, because Japan's results are all over the place, and I think without knowing their team well enough, it probably depends on who's available and who he chooses to pick in at any particular moment. So he's probably experimenting with stuff. But yeah, if it was a big game and there's a lot on the line, I'd almost fancy Eddie to find a way for Japan to keep this tight, and Wales under pressure. I'm not sure how much I'd fancy them in those sort of spots.
Well, Fareed says, like I said before, Japan has too many Japanese players. I'm sure that will offend a few people, Fareed. Let's move up to Oracle on this one. 12.5, Wales. I'm with the Mossman in this sense. I struggle to sort of find a confident call in the handicap here, because I almost think both teams in a way as bad as each other. I do think the overs here, I haven't got confirmation on the roof, but I'm assuming for a test match like this, it will be closed. But do you have any thoughts on your side on this one?
Yeah, I'm with Henrik here. Excuse me. Japan is about the only team Wales can get a win from. Well, for those who've been following rugby this year, it's 1-1. They were very lucky to win the second game. And yes, of course, they sent a B team, as all the European countries think, very little respect of us down in the south. I know Japan's not in the south, but for the July window, June window, they often send B teams. Listen, this is also not my best bet of the weekend. I'm going to tell you I'm backing Japan to win this game. They can win. I think 12.5 is, 12.5 points too many. I think this is a level game by all accounts. Eddie Jones is not a mug. I saw you put a comment up about the Japanese players. I think there's only about 3 Japanese players in the Japanese team. I lost count at 2 a few years ago. I like Japan. Yeah, not a big bet, small bet, but you know what? You want to have a bit of fun and not risk a lot. Back Japan on the board. They can win. Of course they can. I agree with Henrik 100%. And I won't be surprised if they win. And for Wales, you were talking about the 12. I'm more worried about the top 6. So it goes 1 to 6 and then 7 to 12 for the ranking system. So if this is a 12-point game, Buffer, then yes, Wales have got a lot of motivation. But I've got to tell you, I don't know where they're going to find it from. I was very confident last week, and last week it should have been my best bet of the week, and I didn't think about it as much as I said earlier. For me, this Wales team, yes, on paper, great, of course. And as you said, Brent, to me in messages on Sunday, they're doing better in the URC now than they were last year. and it's a new coach. I think it's going to take a few games before Wales get there, and I don't think they're going to get it right by the end of the Six Nations. I think we're talking about the end of next year again before they can really start competing like they were a few years ago. I think this is an opportunity for a punt. And let's put it this way. If Wales are at their best, what would this handicap be? Maybe 18 or 16? I don't think it'd be in the 20s or 30s. And the last time Japan went there, I think it was a 3 or 4 point game. I can't remember. And they were both in the 30s. So I'm a Japanese punter here all day long, but just for coins and not banknotes. Small money.
Right, let's stay with you for the next game. This game, there has been quite a bit of movement. Ireland currently minus 10.5 against Australia. Points line at the Aviva of 46.5. There was plus 13.5 Australia. Got backed in. I know the Admiral was on it very early. Then news sort of broke that Skelton wasn't playing for the Aussies, and the line, from what I could see, went back out to about 12.5. I see it has come in now to 10.5. My view, Gavin, on the Australians at the moment is that they're just out on their feet. They've had a hell of a season. I mean, while we were playing Italy and Georgia at home, they were playing the British and Irish Lions. And I just think they don't have the depth that a South Africa do, for one thing. And to me, Australia just look worn out. What do you make of this one? Ireland minus 10.5. They obviously, I mean, they got to win this game, make no mistake, but they must have an eye on the box next week as well.
Brent, I think this is the second or third week in a row that you've mentioned that Skelton's out. I think we should just price up that he's not playing, and then when he plays, we can make a change.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right.
People are assuming this what did they call it? Truancy when you miss school. I think this guy's more truant than he's present. Anyway, and I remember him when he came on for the Force, only because he was massive, like tall and big. Listen, I think, I mean, I haven't called Australia right. Let's put it that way. I lost Australia, England. I lost Australia, Italy. I lost Australia, South Africa, the game they won. I won the next, and then I went for them in that New Zealand game, and then I got them right. So I think I'm like 5 wrong, 2 right. So I'm 3 games away from breaking even just on Australia here. I'm going to say this minus looks too low, and I'm laughing. And again, I'm going to say it's not the best bet of the weekend. I don't know. I don't know what my best bet is yet. And just for those who are watching the show thinking, like, why is this guy talking like that when he's seen the prices? I haven't seen the prices. I work for myself now, and I barely watch any preview. In fact, I don't watch previews. I don't look at prices until Brent puts them on the screen. And I've always been a Thursday, Friday punter anyway, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about missing out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, yes, when I tell you I had no idea this was minus 10, I didn't know until Brent put it on the screen. And I think that's, for the viewer, that's honest, raw surprise. Like, I'm looking at this for the first time this week, and I'm happy with that. And a lot of people need to, as well, Gav. Yeah, some people need to see it straight away. I don't need to see it straight away. I'm happy. So for me, Ireland win this game easy. I know that they're concentrating on next week, but I think this is more about they're at home. They've also they've got decent depth, Ireland. Excuse me. They've got decent depth, and I expect this to be an easy minus for them. I don't know, 10. I think they win this game by 20 plus. I think Australia are in big trouble. I thought I read them well earlier, but I can tell you now that Australia this year are the Jaguares of 2019, I think, or 2018, when I completely got them wrong, 2017. I actually turned them up. I stopped betting on them because I got like 2 out of 9. I said, hang on, I'm not reading this right. I'll watch a few more games and then get involved. Australia are very close to that. So if I get this one wrong, I'm out of Australia for, I don't know, until June next year.
Well, I think they've only got one more test between now and June, or maybe 2 at most. So
at least, till the Rugby Championship, because I need at least 3 games to rebound after a losing streak, and I'm definitely on a bad run with Australia. I'm not reading them right.
And this is Reed Henrik's comment. Gavin, I prefer your way when doing a show. No use in telling viewers the number you go into 2 days ago. Viewers need to know what you do at current lines. Yeah, fair enough. I've always said I don't mind hearing what guys have done because I'm always interested in market moves. But obviously, you can't tip something that where the price is no longer there. Mossman, let's go to you on this one. Seems like general sentiment towards Ireland here, but a bit of support for the Aussies as well. What are you going to say?
Yeah, just on that I think there is signal in understand, like knowing the market moves. So I think and that Italy Australia game last week was a classic, right? Like it opened at 16 or something, right? And then when you guys talked about it on the show, I think at that point it was 10. I think it might have closed at 7. Like there's clearly there were people out there, I think myself included, that were looking at that had a number that was wildly different from what the market was at that time. And there are probably larger punters groups, etc., that don't tip their hand earlier in the week, but you can see the sentiment and the direction it was going. So if there was money coming for Italy kind of all week and right up until the close. So I do think there's some signal there. So but yeah, I mean, in terms of this game, I think is the one that I'm kind of battling with kind of the most. And I think I had mentally, I'd geared myself up all week to be on Ireland. I agree with pretty much everything you said, Brent, about, I just think the Australian team looked jaded. They have had a tough season. I think the team that they rolled out against Italy last week, if you went back to say Super Rugby or before the Lions series and picked your top Australian team, I think a lot of those players were not there, through injury or absences or all that sort of stuff. And it just, it felt like they were just struggling to get to the finish line, of this season. And so mentally, that all week, that's what I'm thinking. And then the team that Australia have actually put out, they've managed to bring a few guys back, and it's looking a lot better than what it did last week. So I've got that on one hand. On the other hand, I think Ireland are a bit overrated at the moment, just in general. I think they're kind of trading on some of the results that they've had maybe sort of 2 years ago, 3 years ago plus. They feel, some people probably disagree with me, that maybe they're slightly a bit of a fading force in some ways. I don't think they're the team that maybe they were. I know in my own numbers, I do have Ireland slightly overrated, because when I do back them, I tend to lose. And and you build up a bit of a memory as a bettor, right? And I remember this game last year, and it was Ireland double-digit favourites against Australia, and I think they might have scraped home by 3 or something like that. So I've got that in the back of my mind as well. So there's a lot of competing kind of things that I've got sort of bouncing around. At the moment, I'm probably going to stay away from it, but I haven't fully decided. As I said, I make this Ireland by 13, but I also know that there's a bias towards Ireland that, when I've run with it, has not been profitable. So I'm kind of trying to balance all these things, and at the moment I'm sort of I could see it either way. When I saw the Australian team that was named, I was like, oh, this isn't a team that's going to lose by double digits. This looks like a team that can keep it close. But the numbers I've got say something otherwise as well. So there's just I think sometimes games get a bit too noisy, and if you don't have that clarity in your mind about what it is that you want to do, you're better off just staying away, because you're going to kick yourself either way, right? You'll lose, and then you'll go, why did I not listen to this thing or that other thing? There's other bets where you come into the week, you're very clear about the side that you're interested in. You see a number that you really like, you take it, and you're happy, all week. And even if you lose, you're kind of like that. That's you're confident you made it.
You don't kick yourself.
No, you made a good decision. You'd say to yourself, I would bet this again if it came up next week, because the results are the results. You can't control those. You can only control your kind of process. But I don't feel that way about this game. I have very little clarity on what's going to happen.
And just as a matter of interest, the points line here, 46.5 south. I had a look at the weather here. So from what I can tell, the forecast I'm looking at, quite a bit of rain, or there's rain early in the day, but it should clear up by game time. Any thoughts on the 46.5, or have you seen any difference on the weather?
No, it was flagged as a kind of game that was going to be weather affected. I mean, it still might. It's come down maybe a point from where it was. I'm right there, in that 47 range. So yeah, no play on the points for me at the moment.
Right, we're going to stick with you, Mossman, for the next game. France, of course, coming off that defeat to South Africa. Quite a few changes to the team. France minus 23.5 against Fiji. It's been hovering around from minus 20.5, I think, to about minus 23.5 all week. And a points line here of 58.5. I think this game, if I remember correctly, is taking place in Bordeaux. What are your thoughts here? Can the French bounce back with a big win?
It's still they've rotated a little bit, but it's still a very strong French team. I haven't seen a Fiji team because I think that's going to be kind of the decider. Fiji are very much dependent on, I think, like a handful of players playing in the top leagues coming in and kind of augmenting that core group that probably plays for the Drua. And the results tend to fluctuate pretty wildly depending on whether those guys come in and play. So, yeah, I think it feels like probably a bounce back spot for the French. I'd want to look at the Fijian team, but I think it's probably like last week. There was a lot of debate about that England-Fiji game, and it landed almost exactly around the line. But this one, I think there is potential if Fiji are perhaps a little bit off their game for kind of France to put them to the sword in a way that maybe England don't have the same kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, je ne sais quoi, to do. Like it's just probably not quite in the same genes. So it would probably, again, very dependent on the Fiji team, but it wouldn't surprise you if France were able to run up a score.
Well, Henrik says Fiji have picked quite a strong side. I also looked for it.
I haven't seen
find it just before the show, so I hadn't seen that either. Jaid is saying French selection better than last week. I've seen a couple of people make those comments saying France maybe try to take South Africa on, in terms of pure size last week instead of having a more mobile team. And on that note, we'll pop up to the Oracle and see what his views are on this game.
I was impressed by the snort club there. I think it's the other way around here. I'm not a France minus punter, and I'll be extremely surprised if France win this game on more than 23. You don't have to go too much further back than 2018 when Fiji won this game. And I'm going to say 23, probably getting something like 12, maybe 14 to 1. I say Fiji on the board is worth a punt. A lot of their players play in France. France are bruised from last week. The nation is, the crowd is. I don't know. This is plus or no bet, and it's not a big bet. It's another one of those, let's see what happens. I'm a Fiji plus punter here, and a little bit on the board, and absolutely not interested in minus France here. And that brings me to my question to what you said, Mossman, in the last game, where you said you were a little bit undecided. Me as a viewer, no, but I'm interested to know if you were forced to have a bet, which way would you go? In other words, even if it's $1, whatever, small number, which way is where I go plus or no bet, minus or no bet? How do you feel on that last game?
Yeah,
the Ireland Australia one.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about where I would go. At that number, like at 10.5, I think.
Yes, at the current number, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say Ireland, but I just don't feel good about that.
No, I got that, and that's why I always say small bet. This is a great bet, whatever.
Gab's going to make a clip that's just got Mossman saying, "I'm going Ireland." Confident.
Well, I'm quite excited, Brent, that I think my best bet's going to be Argentina. I see they're playing Scotland. I've only seen the fixture. I don't know what the handicap is yet, but I'm brimming with half a smile already. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So, Gab, I'm gonna bring that game up now, and I'm gonna start with you. So let's talk before I bring my handicap up on that game. How would you cap the game now? You're a bookmaker. It's Scotland up against Argentina at home. How are you capping this game?
All right. Sorry, I just want to go back to what Mossman said about the Italy-Australia game. You said that the number came down all the way down to 7, right? It started at 7. So as a bookmaker, I would have opened the floodgates, and I like them, right? And obviously, as the way I used to bookmake was if everybody was 12, I'd be 13. And in my wild cowboy days before that, I was 15 of 12, because I liked the team. And anyway, at -7, I'm almost phoning the big punters saying, Oak, we got +9.5 when you can only get 7 everywhere else. So I would have done my balls on that game, that Italy-Australia game. I would have absolutely done my balls. I would have been in meetings on Monday morning explaining why the company lost money. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Right. Let's talk a handicap, right? Argentina, Scotland.
I'm not bringing it up yet. I know what the cap is, obviously. Yeah. What are you capping it?
I'm going to say that the bookmakers have looked at this Scotland coming close to New Zealand and Argentina probably playing an okay game. I don't think they liked them as much as I did. I think they've got Scotland about -3, 4, or 5 in that region. So I say if I go in the middle, -4. And I'm going to say if you give me any plus on Argentina here, I'm all over the board and I'm all over the plus. I'll be very surprised if I'm pricing this up, -3, -4, -5 Argentina. Okay. That's where I would go.
I'll quickly, before I bring it up, I priced the Scotland -2.5. It opened -0.5. So basically a choice game.
Yeah.
But you were spot on in terms of where the bookies have it at the moment, Gavin. You got Scotland -3.5. So
this is my best bet of the weekend. Best bet of the weekend. Argentina on the board, and you'll probably get 15, 16 or 10 if you're lucky. I'm all over that. You have to wait till Sunday afternoon. I don't care. This is the punt. If you're having one punt this weekend, back the Argentinians in this fixture.
Yeah, I reckon you can get 14, 15 to 10 probably there. Mossman?
Love Argentina.
Before you start, what's the number here? What did your algorithm, your system bring up here? What's the number?
I think Argentina should be favourites. I think they should be 4-point favourites.
So it looks like it's Henrik Swart and Brent Graham against the panel.
I think there's a couple of things. So it's actually interesting. Instead of watch the show last week, it's quite good actually sometimes to watch the show when you're not involved in it and you pick up maybe a little bit more on the comments. And there was a comment that Farid made actually, which kind of resonated with me, where he said that Argentina were as good as Ireland. And I sort of thought about that for a second, and I thought, well, actually, if Argentina, they last season they beat New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa all in the same season. This year they've beaten New Zealand again and Australia again. They ran South Africa extremely close, again, possibly could have picked up another win there. Like they're just in a different stratosphere from some of these other teams, And they are in that is those kind of results are something that Ireland can do. They're not the kind of results that Scotland can achieve. Like they just haven't. Scotland get up for the England game, and they can win that, and they have won it like in recent years. And I think that gives people an inflated view of kind of what they're capable of. They don't seem to be able to put it together against France, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa. It's they're just not quite in that same caliber, whereas Argentina are. They're in a different. I think Argentina are in a different conversation. So I get that Scotland are at home, and that is obviously a plus for them. But Argentina have actually proved themselves to be a pretty good team away from home in Europe. I think a lot of their players play in Europe, so it's probably it's not as foreign to them as it might be to some others. And I think. There's a couple of things that I'm watching out for as well. There's a lot of talk about this week about Finn Russell and Xander Fagerson being back. So I hope they get named in the team, and I hope that causes the line to go out another point. If we could get to 4.5, 5.5, because Fagerson has not played all year. He missed the Lions series. This will be his first game back. So he's going to be underdone, I would have thought. Finn Russell. He was really in the wars last week, and when you've got a guy that's out there and he's not fit enough on the field to take drop kicks, you do have concerns, and it's only a week, has gone by, and they say that he's training fully and all the rest of it. I don't know. I just wonder how fit, he can really be. In a way, I hope they play or at least get named, and then you get a good number on Argentina. Maybe there's a late withdrawal, maybe he's playing, but he's kind of not at 100%. and all of those things would play into Argentina's hands. Like, I think Argentina are the better team. So, just give me the plus on the better team.
Yeah, 100%.
Simply put, they have the wrong favourites in this fixture.
Yeah, I think so.
Quite a bit of division. I must admit, I've probably been guilty of underestimating Argentina a couple of times, and I do take in fact, I thought of that last week when I was watching them against an admittedly poor Wales team. But Argentina going into this next Rugby World Cup, they've always been capable of causing upset.
Lost by 50.
Yeah. They played poorly. I thought man for man they were okay, but beforehand, but they played poorly. They were totally wiped off the park. I didn't watch the second half. I went to the gym. I knew, when your money's done, your money's done. But I did think about the Argies as, they've always been the team that can make the semi-finals of the World Cup and then probably get rolled quite easily in the semis. Wow, this team's playing some good rugby. They're going to be major factors come the next Rugby World Cup. You don't want to be anywhere near Argentina in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Yep. And and the other thing I like the over in this game. I think it's actually quite a long way short of where I think it should be. Like I think maybe a line of sort of 55 might be about right here. So weather looks okay in Edinburgh. So yeah, quite fancy the overs and maybe even again kind of an implied bet, right? If you like Argentina on the plus and you like the over, I'll take a look at the Argentina points total over as well.
That's it. I think Southpaw on the Good for the Game forum, if I remember correctly, I think he got in on quite an early line there. I think 20.5 Argentina points or something at even money, which by the time I looked at it the next day was gone. But yeah, I would agree with you that points, and I like the overs points here at 49.5. I must say, I think that could move just looking at the weather now. Yeah, certainly looks pretty good for Sunday there. Gents, that brings us to the end of the show. I guess let's talk best bets, and then I'll give you a chance if you want to bring up anything else. But Mossman, your best bet for the weekend, and it could be I've covered the 6 what I would call main games. I know there are other games taking place. I haven't really bought them up, but if there's anything you fancy in any of those games as well.
No, as I said, once you get outside the top 10, I'm not paying as close attention. Don't have the bandwidth for that. So yeah. I mean, I think the best bet here is we're probably going to be in agreement, and it's pretty obvious. There's been a lot of enthusiasm for this one. Almost feel like we were waiting for the last game to come up. I know I kind of was. So yeah, really like Argentina. On the plus. Would love to get a even better number. 4.5 if Russell and Ferguson get named, but I do like the overs in this game as well, in the same game.
Right, yeah, I do fancy the overs there quite strongly as well at the 49.5. Johan Estes at his weekly treble, Fiji plus 23.5, New Zealand to lead at half-time, and Argentina, Scotland over 49.5, which brings us to the Oracle with his best play of the weekend. Are we going Argentina this week, Gav?
Yes, but I just want to ask Johan Estes a question. So he puts up a treble every week. Do you keep stats, Johan? And at your 6-1, are you winning more than 1 out of 6? I'm interested to know because I'm just a numbers person. So, yeah, if you're taking a treble every week and you're getting 6-1, I want to know, are you beating those odds? Simple as that. Right, I agree with Moss man. I'm sorry, but this is like the world rugby situation right now. You got South Africa, and then you got a couple of others. There's a big chasm, gulf, whatever you want to call it. For me, Argentina is there's a chasm between them and my second best bet, which I have to say is South Africa, New Zealand to win at 9-10. But I'm not as confident. I am confident on those, but I'm seriously confident about Argentina. If you look in the chat, in our little chat here, I'll put a link there. You must go and watch it. And for those who are looking out there, Veritasium is the YouTube channel. The guys put a video out a couple of days ago about overconfidence and about confident people. If you like that, if you're interested in that kind of thing, go and watch it because it's very, very clever. Overconfidence is proved to be, you should trust less confident people than more confident people. And I've always been a confident person. So I'm quite surprised at that, but it was a great video. Anyway, for those who haven't seen the results today, and I've only just seen them now, Samoa beat Namibia. So Namibia are not going to the World Cup. They can't win from there. They've lost both games. But interestingly, Belgium have won their second game in a row, and Belgium will play Samoa. And I wanted to ask you, Mossman, I see New Zealand A are playing against Uruguay on Sunday at home. Well, you listed as the home team. Would your bookmakers locally make a price on that game?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I can probably tell you what it is. It won't be a home game. I think this is my guess, and I don't know for certain, but I'm imagining it's played at a neutral venue. Yeah, they'll definitely price it up. They haven't as yet, but they always do. So what happens is closer to kickoff, these games start popping up. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have a look where that one's played. Yeah, my guess is it's probably being played in France or somewhere like that.
Okay. There is a game that's caught my attention after USA got absolutely romped. You can fly. Romania playing USA. If you can get a price on that, I'm guessing the bookmakers will probably make it. Farid, I hear you, but they won 2 games in a row. You never know. Romania, USA. Romania win that game, and I'm going to say if you can get a handicap on that game of around about 10 or 15, Romania probably smash it. That's one of those minor games. But again, in South Africa, that would be a CCF number of 1. So you'd be lucky to get 200 Rand on that game. So $20 for Mossman. Don't go bigger than that. It's a bit fun. Otherwise, you're going to get flagged your account. But I like Romania to beat the USA and the other games that are there. Spain, England, I've got no interest. Portugal, Hong Kong could be 10, could be 100. I don't know. Georgia, Canada. Georgia probably beat Canada. But yeah, we don't. Those games won't be on TV in South Africa.
Okay, final question for you then, Oracle. Changing topic quickly. India against South Africa, first test. India, very short price. South Africa, any chance?
What is the price? And are they starting tomorrow, right? Please tell me they're starting tomorrow.
They do start tomorrow.
Excellent. Friday off for me. Watching
India
cricket.
India about 3 to 10, and I think South Africa around about the 7 to 2 mark, maybe. Could that be? I'll tell you now.
3 to 10 short, Brent. I can tell you that straight away. 3 to 10 short for a test.
Okay, they're not 3. Sorry, I thought they were 3. No, but what am I looking at here? Oh, that's for the series betting. Sorry, let me just look at the actual. I'm not used to looking for cricket betting, so let me just quickly look. India, South Africa.
Oh, Mossman, there's a YouTube clip. I'll try and find it and send it to you. It's with your New Zealand actor, the guy that your famous actor. What's his name?
Russell Crowe.
Yes, he's in a conversation with one of those podcasters, and he's talking about cricket. I'll find it and send it to you. It's quite interesting. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, because his cousin is, or cousins are Martin and Jeff Crowe, who played cricket for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they were related.
There's only one Crowe family in New Zealand. You know that?
Yeah.
Sri Lanka to beat Pakistan at 15 to 10, says Henrik in the second half. Brad says Proteas 4 to 1. I see at Bet Exchange they just under 4 to 1. And you
so what's the draw price? Because I'm actually interested in a draw price in this game.
10.5 to 1 there. You got the draw at BetX.
10 to 1 a draw in India. That's value, eh? Jeez, that's value. And then I'll pick a team on day 3. I'll be taking that 10 to 1 before the game. Very happy with it.
I quite like that strategy there as well. Mossman, we'll end off with you. Anything else for the weekend besides rugby, or is it just a case of watching rugby and trying to sleep whenever you can?
Basically that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's South Africa playing West Indies when my kid was born in February 2003. And that December, just before the December, we had the President's Cup. My kid sat in one of those little, I don't know what you call them, like snug and safe. I had him on the coffee table watching the entire President's Cup for 3 days. And I had him watching the West Indies tour in South Africa on the coffee table. So he saw lots of sport before he was even 1 year old. So yeah, if I were you, you're babysitting and watching sport at the same time. Very easy to do.
Yeah, golf and cricket will definitely put kids to sleep. So for sure, yep.
I like that one.
So
anyway, guys?
What's your best bet of the week? What's your best bet of the week?
Yeah,
No, Brent.
Oh no, Brent.
I must
Sorry.
say, I don't know. I don't know what my best bet is at this stage. I must say the one I like is, and Mossman pointed it out in the final game. I like it over 49.5 in the Scotland Argentina game. That's probably where I'd be leaning. I've been betting a bit straight. I haven't been putting big bets down. I've been taking the odd multiples and doubles, and so some weekends I've done really nicely. I've hit an acca here or there, and others. Whereas I'm treading water at the moment. I've got my big poker tournament next week, so my focus is I haven't played for a while. My focus is probably going to be on that. But trading water. But if you had to tell me now, like I always say, Gavin, and I always say, if you were forced to bet, I mean, can you imagine life was like that, and they actually forced you to bet, like put a gun to your head and said you have to have a bet. Well, if you put a gun to my head now and said you have to have a best bet, I would take that over 49.5 in the Scotland game. That would be my best bet at this point. I'm being open. Just struggling to call the handicaps and stuff this year. I'm just not. I'm disappointed with myself because I do love the international, but I'm just not feeling it. And I'll certainly be focusing on the points markets this week more than anything else because I'm not having much joy on the handicaps. Anyways, chaps, brings us to the end. Henrik makes a good point here. Tests don't end in draws anymore. Run rates are too high. Fair comment, although at 10.5 to 1, I might be tempted to join Gav there for a little nibble. Thanks to all the boys.
I'll join into that comment. Sorry, I was just going to say, I agree with Henrik, right? Draws used to be 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1. But I'm sorry, when I get 10 to 1, I'm interested, especially on the subcontinent. That's a place where the draw has a higher probability than anywhere else, really. So 10 to 1's Henrik, 10 to 1's a 10%. It's not. You don't have to be confident there. The price is too big. I'm going to have a go, and I'll figure out on end of day 2, lunchtime day 3, who I'm going to back to have a bet on the game. But draws are run at 10 to 1. I'm very interested.
Yeah, the good thing about cricket too, like the test match, is that you can trade in and out of positions quite easily.
Absolutely. There's so much time.
Yeah, so much time, and things can change so quickly. Like you could back the draw and then trade out of that, or either way, like within half an hour. And the numbers would fluctuate wildly. All it takes is 2-3 wickets to fall, or or someone else has a good run, or maybe there's a rain delay. All of these things, and you could build up like quite strong positions across a whole lot of different bets. And middle a few things. So yeah.
Well, for Reed, all I'm going to say is seek medical help there. He says he likes to watch cricket without betting on it. Very strange to see that. No, there we go, lads. Anyway,
there's some players who don't even want to play without betting on it. So.
We saw that the MLB thing this week, where these guys apparently took $7,000 to fix a couple of pitches, and they get paid $1 million for the year, or $700,000. I don't know. I don't believe that. I think that's way too little. Nobody's going to change their career on a stupid little thing. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe they got short paid. But yes, you're right. More players are betting in cricket than they should be.
Okay, lads, let's call it quits for the day. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks to the boys in the live chat, and of course to my panelists, Oracle and the Moss Man. Very good to have you back on the show. We'll see you next week, 9 o'clock Thursday night, for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.